Hello everyone, this is Star Zenith 33, Laura Francesca, here at Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. So these are the different platforms where you can listen to the podcast and support the podcast and share it also, which is very important. So I'm going to be talking about the new moon eclipse. And by the way, happy fire horse year for 2026. It just entered, and it's 12:53 right now, which is interesting. 8, 9, 10, 11. So that would be 11 of community and social media. It's a great number to be doing the podcast. And we're going to be talking about what this new moon eclipse means for the collective and what to watch out for. And we're going to talk about that famous square there with Uranus and Taurus. And let's head there. Okay, so, but by the way, I think I did say happy Fire Horse Day, right? I was feeling a little bit tired. I'm not going to lie. I'm picking up energy right now, and I'm feeling the horse. I really am. I was feeling a little bit tired because I did do the English podcast. I mean, not the English, the Spanish podcast. And it took me about an hour to do the Spanish podcast, and an hour and like 10 minutes or something, or 15 minutes. So it was a pretty long podcast and episode. And I said, I'm going to do the English one. And I was feeling a little bit tired. I did do a lot of social media stuff today, and I was doing some reading as well. I'm trying to catch up on a book that I really need to finish. And so there were a lot of things going on. You know, it's a Monday, right? And so that's things that I'm doing. And my body's been a little bit tired and so forth. But there's something in me that said, do the English podcast, you know? And normally, under the year of the snake, because the snake was about releasing, it was about letting go, it was about transformation, right? And if your body is too tired, then it's too tired, you know what I mean? You got to just take a break, right? And it was about just shedding and letting go. But the horse is not giving you a break like that. The horse is like, you're gonna do it, you know, and it's gonna give us that energy, in which I love, right? And honestly, right now, I probably would be sleeping or knocking out in my bed. And there's something that pulled me in, and I think I'm already feeling the horse. I'm actually wearing red too. I decided I'm wearing like this kind of like this PJ red thing, this silky red, and I'm wearing this actually this. It's not a bandana. It's not a handkerchief. It's I think it's just one of those I guess that you put in headbands or something. Yeah, it's like a headband. And I decided to wear it so I can start my day, my year of the horse that way. It has like orange and red and brown, and it's actually made from Italy, and it's made all the way from Italy too. It was shipped from Italy, and I ordered it in Etsy, and they had a lot of beautiful ones. They're not name brand or nothing like that. No Italian brand. Well, they're Italian brand, but not famous Italian brand. They make them out of their own shop and handmade. Okay, Italian made, and they're really beautiful. They're just different designs and stuff. So I decided to put it on my hair, and just start the day of the horse that way, you know, because it does have red and orange and brown and so forth. It looks pretty classy, you know, because, you know, the horse is classy. And yeah, and I bought me some boots as well. And I bought me some boots, and, you know, I didn't know what kind of shoes to wear to start the year. And Chat GPT mentioned, because I'm an ox, right? What kind of shoes I can wear. And it said invest in some brown boots. Like they could be like knee high, and that's what I did. They're made out of suede and stuff. I like them. They're cute. And then they had architecture shoes, which is so weird. It's like kind of like a medium heel, and it has designs. Like the heel has like weird designs and stuff. They're kind of shoes that something like a model would wear, right? And not normal people would not be wearing those type of shoes. They're architecture shoes. So I don't know. I personally would not be wearing something like that unless I really want to stand out, because it's like a heel and it's twisted like in circles and designs, and it's made out of plastic, like clear glass or something. I don't know, they're really weird. And then another type of shoe were more like flats, ballerina flats. Uh, what are those other shoes? Um, they're kind of like kids, and then sometimes they have like Nautica shoes. Um, and I forgot what they're called. Um, well, they were like ballerina shoes. They mentioned, ChatGPT said either ballerina shoes or I forgot. They're not sandals or nothing. They're just um, I forgot what they're called. But they're classy, but at the same time, they're simple. It's very simplicity, comfort shoes. Um, so that is with this type of shoe. So I bought me some boots. I went with the boots. So I'm going to be wearing those today when I wake up. And but enough of the fire horse, because that's going to be a separate podcast. Let's talk about the new moon eclipse, okay? Which is not just a reset, okay? It's a karmic portal. It's eclipses accelerate, and they accelerate timelines, okay? So they collapse probability into reality, okay? So in Aquarius, some of the themes are collective consciousness, technology and AI, financial systems, rebellion against outdated authority, community power versus centralized control, and sudden awakenings. Okay, so Aquarius doesn't whisper, it disrupts the grid. Okay, so this is a frequency of enough. The system must update. Okay, so what's happening here is that it's squaring Uranus. Okay, and here is where it gets charged. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, the planet of shocks, rebellion, earthquakes. And, speaking of earthquakes, there was I think 2 days ago, I got a notification from Threads, and it's somebody that I guess I'm following with, like astrology and, the solar flares and everything. And they mentioned that there was an earthquake in Russia and Japan. And I haven't really been keeping up with it or following it or anything like that. Like, that is interesting because that is happening just days before the eclipse in Aquarius. And since Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, um, Uranus rules earthquakes. Okay. And so what do we have in Uranus right now? We have Taurus. Okay. So Taurus has to do with real estate. It has to do with land. It has to do with Mother Earth. Okay. And when it shakes, when it's angry, right, it tends to be earthquakes. And so what can happen is there can be earthquakes. Okay. Because that is the planet that is ruled by Aquarius, and financial volatility, okay? Technological breakthroughs can happen as well. So a square is a tension, it's a friction, it's pressure that demands action, okay? When you have a square, it's not about just knowing you have a square and not doing anything about it. It's what are you going to do about it, right? It demands your action, it demands your attention. So we have an eclipse, which is destiny triggered. We have Aquarius, which is a collective revolution. Uranus, which is sudden shock, the square, which is conflict or rupture. And so this can manifest as market instability, cyber or tech disruptions, political shakeups, social protest, breakthrough innovations, and sudden personal awakenings. So, on a personal level, expect the unexpected. On a collective level, systems may tremble. Okay. So, another thing that is also important is that Uranus is sitting on Algo. And Algo, okay, historically has been known as a demon star. So I think of it as a dark star, but it's not always so dark, you know. Um, it can when it comes together with Uranus, it can intensify and amplify the frequency. Okay, and so um, I consider this algo. It can be dangerous. It just depends how you want to see it. It rules the head. It rules the neck. So there could be things that can happen. Is you can lose control. Okay, there could be some loss of control. Rage can be released. Feminine power can be suppressed or unleashed. You know, there's a lot of women that hold things in, and it's not good health wise, you know. So it's good to, you know, connect with friends, connect with people, connect with circles, neighbors, and so forth, and, you know, express how you feel and so forth so you cannot have it suppressed. Okay. Also, a collective hysteria or mass reaction. So, when Uranus sits on Algo, we're dealing with unpredictable emotional eruptions, collective anger, exposure of hidden corruption, sudden collapses where something's too extreme and finally snaps. Okay, is raw power. Um, but here's the higher octave that Algo is not evil. It represents untamed power, power that has not been released. Okay, and something has to snap out. Something has to be released. And Aquarius is about liberation, of feeling like, ah, that feels good. You know, um, think of it if, you know, all of a sudden your head snaps, right? And it just kind of snaps on its own, and you're like, oh, that feel good, right? That feel real good. And so it could be something like that, you know. Another good example too, when it comes to algo, is think of in the movie, what is that movie called? Um, Frida. That's what the movie Frida. Um, when she's in the bus, you know, and she's young and she's in the bus, and they have a bus accident, right? And Frida was born with algo on her ascendant, which is so interesting because I also have it. And but I read that she had it. So, you know, in the movie, of course, we know Salma Hayek plays her, but we're not talking about Salma Hayek. We're talking about Frida. Um, in her chart, she has the algo on her ascendant, which is her rising sign, which is, you know, how she looks, how she dresses, how she takes action, you know. And you know, when she's in the bus, and then she uh, they all get into this bus accident, and she falls, or she snaps her neck, or something happens. She messes up her whole body and so forth. And so that is algo, you know, that is algo on your ascendant, and it has to do with the neck. And because of that bus accident, you know, she went to the hospital, and, you know, her whole body got messed up, right? Especially her neck. If you notice, I think she was wearing some kind of metal. It's very sad to look at how she ended up, but I think she had some kind of metal holding her neck or something like that. I don't know if she broke bones, or she must have, you know, and it was holding her neck. So think of algo as that, especially because in Frida's, like Frida's chart, right? The original Frida, she had algo on her ascendant, which is her rising sign, which is how people perceive her. It's her first house of her body, of who she is. And so it was predicted that she would have some sort of pain in her neck, and that is algal. Okay. So, I'm not trying to put fear or nothing like that. I'm just bringing awareness that, especially as in Taurus, to take care of your neck, take care of, make sure you sleep well, make sure you sleep with good pillows and so forth. It's important because it is a dangerous star, and bad things can happen if you're not careful, right? And so it's an example of what happened to Frida in that bus, and it messed up her neck. So it is good to know, especially where you have Taurus. And so for me, I always try to cover your neck area, just not all the time, but protect it, or wear some crosses or something. I don't know. Because something like that could happen with the neck area. So this eclipse could expose where control has been toxic, personally or globally. And what we've heard, the latest news about the list, the horrific list, right? That was something globally that has happened. So basically, something unstable reveals itself. Okay, something rigid cracks, something suppressed erupts, but it does so to force evolution. Okay, and so personally, what to watch out for with this eclipse when it hits at it's going to hit at 4:01 a.m. So this eclipse will hit wherever Aquarius sits in your chart, okay? For me personally, it's in the 10th house. So this has to do more with career, with fame. Um, the unexpected can happen in my career, um, in recognition, in anywhere in the 10th house. That has to do with applause, has to do with respect, and so forth. So there could be sudden insights, okay? Relationship dynamics that can shift, tech glitches or breakthroughs, a strong urge to detach from what feels outdated. Also, nervous system, there could be some sensitivity to your nervous system. So, watch out for anything that brings you anxiety, anything that makes you nervous, anything that just feels you can't trust. um, just stay away from that, because Uranus can bring that electricity, it can bring that anxiety, it rules anxiety. For those that have anxiety, or have like mental illness, that all comes from Uranus, okay? So whatever you have in Uranus, it can bring in um, that nervous system can get triggered, okay? So ground your body. And Uranus, it rules electricity. So you have to discharge it. Okay. You have to walk, you have to move, you have to breathe, you have to touch the earth, get grounded. I've always said take off your shoes and just walk barefoot in the grass, or walk barefoot in the sand. Maybe you're at a beach and you can, it feels really good in your toes, and just walking around. So these are some of the things that can happen when it squares Uranus, okay? And on a collective tone, this can feel very, where financial systems can have tensions. There could be AI or tech headlines, social narrative shifts. There could be some shock announcements, okay? So remember, Aquarius energy, ultimately, what it does, it liberates, okay? It shakes what is fragile. It electrifies what is ready. It frees what has been confined. And so basically here, this portal that we're entering here, it's this portal that we're entering here. It's going to make great change because it's on an eclipse. Okay. And so what happens here with Aquarius, on algo, it's not a reset, but it's a rupture. Okay. Where systems shock, where truth surfaces and destiny accelerates, where we take off our masks and we face the truth of the matter. Okay. And also, we need to be truthful because the fire horse has entered, and the fire horse expects truth. Okay. And it doesn't do well with lies. It just does not. And we know that's why the rat is the enemy of the horse. And the rat is going to have to do strategy to get along with the horse, and it's going to have to face the music and be truthful, you know. And There's no judgment on anybody that's a rat. I'm just saying it's personally for every rat, you know, I mean, you know what you got to do. You just got to be honest with yourself. And that is what's going to happen because the system's going to crack. Okay. Power is going to be rewritten. And What happens with Uranus is in with algo is there's a breaking point of something shatters, something breaks, and so that's what can happen there. And so, it's interesting where this new moon is entering. It's entering in the second house of wealth, okay, of the money we earn. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of people that are going to start with brand new jobs. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to come into new opportunities when it comes to money. As it squares Uranus in the fifth house with algo on there, okay, there might be some sort of anxiety or something that has to be released when it comes to the fifth house of children, entertainment, Hollywood, creativity. Only you would know. It depends. Also, it depends where you have Taurus in your chart. But I'm speaking for the collective, where the fifth house is. It rules entertainment, Hollywood. It rules gambling, taking risks. It also rules romance. Okay, let's not forget that. It could be maybe you're dating someone and it's like you're like, I had it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just, I don't want to be part of it. I need to break up with this person, or whatever it is, or I need to divorce or something like that. If it's really that bad, there's something that just breaks, it's a breaking point where you can't continue this way anymore. So the fifth house rules romance. Okay. It's not like really marriage. Marriage is more seventh house, but fifth house is more like dating, like you don't want to date this type of person anymore. You're focused on your money, which is the second house. It rules with money, security, self-worth, assets, stability. And the fifth house, where we have Uranus and algo, is creativity, romance, children, risk, visibility, and pleasure. Okay, it might be the way you had pleasure. You don't want to have that same type of pleasure anymore. You want to try something different. And so what this square does, it forces a decision. Okay, there's a decision that needs to be made between your money and who you're dating, or the pleasure you do, right? Also, fifth house has to also do with travel. Okay, it might be like short travel where you like to have fun, right? It might be a town that you love to go to and you have pleasure there. It might be like hitting Vegas or something. And all of a sudden, you don't want to go to Vegas no more. You want to try something else, because maybe you're losing money at Vegas. Probably, because we're dealing with money here. So it's about making changes and decisions. So the second house on the eclipse energy says your financial foundation is being rewritten, okay? For those that are starting brand new jobs, your sense of value is being upgraded. What you rely on for security may shift suddenly. You may detach from an income source that feels outdated. A new way of earning emerges. Okay, so this is a karmic reset around worth. Okay, not just money, but how you price yourself. It might be if you're a coach and you are coaching, it might be that you might start raising your prices because now you have more information or you're more worthy. And with that square with Uranus, it might be a shock. Like what? You raised the prices like that was high, or something like that. And it might have to do something to do with real estate, to tell you the truth. There might be some rentals that, were raised at a very high price, and that's pretty shocking. Especially, and it's being communicated. It's something that it was a gamble, and now it creates a tension, right? It creates some kind of there's going to be some kind of earthquake when it comes to real estate. Okay, some kind of unexpected shock that happens with real estate because Taurus rules real estate, right? And is wrapping up in Uranus. Okay, it's wrapping up, so it's getting ready for Gemini. Well, not really yet, but I think somewhere in May, it's going to enter Gemini. I haven't looked at the date exactly, but I think it was in May, and that's when Gemini enters there for like 8 years. Okay, and it's going to be so much different because now the prices are going to get lowered, because Gemini rules young people. And when it's in Taurus, it's more about business, it's more about like the elders, it's more about just people with money and so forth, businesses and so forth. So this is where it gets volatile. Okay, Uranus in the fifth house can bring sudden romantic changes, unexpected news involving children, creative breakthroughs, risk taking impulses, shock visibility, going viral energy. Okay, so there could be some impulse with being a risk taker when it comes to Uranus in the fifth house. And with Algo, um, it can get intense. There could be untamed power, and it could bring emotional eruptions, pride wounds, dramatic reactions, and I've had enough moments. Okay. In the fifth house, this can show up as a sudden breakup or attraction, creative rebellion, financial risk through speculation, a public moment that changes everything. Okay. So with this square between the second house, which is security, and fifth house, which is risk and expression, we may feel torn between playing safe and taking a bold creative leap. Financial instability triggered by romance or children, a desire to monetize your creativity in a new unconventional way, shock expenses tied to the fifth house matters. So like I mentioned, there might be some higher expenses that you have to do now. When it comes to real estate, when it comes to the money you make, is it enough? Do you make enough money to pay for real estate fees? Whatever it is, can you afford that house? These are questions that we're going to be asking ourselves. And it could be, you know, a time of liberation when we know that whether we could afford it or not. Okay. So the shadow expression here, it could be impulse spending, ego-driven decisions, risky investments, overreacting emotionally, drastic romantic decisions. And with algo involved, reactions can feel extreme if the nervous system isn't regulated. Okay, so grounding is essential. It is essential for you to ground yourself, walk around, go take a hike, go to the gym, do anything that's going to help you feel balanced. Okay, so this is actually a breakthrough energy, and we can detach from a stale income stream. We can launch something creative and unconventional. We can turn our talent into revenue. We can claim our value publicly. We can refuse to undercharge or underplay ourselves. And with the square, it forces alignment. Okay, so if your income doesn't reflect your creative truth, tension erupts until it does. Okay, and so understand that your worth evolves when your creativity refuses containment. So this is not random chaos, it's financial and creative liberation through pressure. And so that is what is happening with that square with this new moon and Uranus. We can have earthquake financial matters. There could be disruptions, political disruptions, also Wall Street. It can also plummet, okay? Dealing with billionaires' money and business money, um, corporate money, and so forth. So there could be a disruption there. And that is what happens. And something has to disrupt, something has to come down in order for us to start this new beginning. And I do have to say the 28 degree is the degree of ancestors. Okay. So it has to do with families. It has to do with ancestors. In the sign of Aquarius, it has to do with the collective. Okay. Where people rise up. And in order to have that beginning, something has to come down. So I do want to talk about the Saibin symbol for 28 because it's very important. And you guys know when I do my new moons or full moons or eclipses, I always talk about the Saibin symbol because it's another part of a frequency besides the new moon that's happening. Okay, this just it can add more information towards this new moon that is beginning in our lives. And with the Saibin symbol of 28, what it means is that it's a tree, a tree felled and sawed. So indicating a focus on utilizing resources, practical application of knowledge, and the transformation of raw potential into useful structured material. It often signifies analyzing past actions to create new foundations. So, some of the key interpretations of the Sabian symbol of 28 is practicality and structure. So, this symbol suggests that natural energy or raw materials, such as a tree, are being processed into a usable form, which could be lumber, emphasizing turning ideas into tangible reality. Another thing, too, it could be analytical power. So it highlights the ability to deconstruct situations, analyze components, and understand how things are put together, often associated with psychology or dismantling past structures. Another thing too, when it comes to the Sabian symbol, preparation, it signifies the need to prepare resources for future endeavors, focusing on long-term utility rather than immediate temporary growth. In essence, this degree represents the final practical step in a process of development, ensuring that what was once wild or unformed is now ready for a new purpose. Okay, so it's a tree that has fell and has been sawed. Okay, and so what it means is we're sawing the tree so we can utilize resources, right? And you can use that lumber of tree, like maybe to build a fire, for your fireplace, or you can use it to build a log house. You can use it for many things. You use the the resources of a tree that has fell. So what do you do when a tree falls? You cut it into pieces, right? And you use the wood to build a fire. So it is about being practical and using what you have, the raw potential, the structure material, and analyzing the past actions to create new foundations. So, what have the actions that you took in your past and creating new foundations with that? Okay. So it's interesting because a tree, we know that trees symbolize ancestors. It symbolizes the roots of the tree, symbolizes our ancestors. And so we have to water the tree so it can grow. But, once the tree falls, then you got to, you got to use the frequency of the tree as resources, right? And so that could be an example there. And so that's what the Sabian symbol is how do you use these resources from a tree. I always say, like, when I get a lot of mail, and I feel like a lot sometimes I receive mail where it's like, why are they wasting so many trees, because a lot of it is paper that they send that they could send it online, and they cut off so many trees so they can make paper, because that's where paper comes from, right? And like, they are wasting too many trees on this paper, and it's paper that is just, it's junk, you know what I mean? Like, it's, they could send me an email. I don't need to get this in the mail. It just doesn't make sense, especially from insurance companies, where they send the same information over and over and over, and I'm like, they're wasting so much paper. Um, Another thing too here, so that's what it means. And so also another thing, another symbolism of that, the Aquarius 28, is let nothing stand in your way. Okay. So let's read that real quick here, because it said, let nothing stand in your way. And Aquarius 28, a tree felled and sawed. So this is a symbol of the employment of a lesser reality for the development and sustainment of a greater, and of the individual's ability in a crisis to center his attention on the pressing functions and necessities of a very practical well-being. Here is a human spirit, joy in energy, expended, and satisfaction in the efficient use of skills and materials, with its experience poised in the fluidity of self expression. So the key word here is immediacy. Okay, so when positive, this degree is a man's uninhibited and enthusiastic desire to be at work, or to mobilize everything around him in his own interest, and when negative, a necessary surrender to hard or unrewarding effort through a total lack of imagination. Okay, so the formula is manipulating, ideal, ingenious, generalizing, physical, receptive. Um, So basically here, it says, there's a seal of approval, the self-commission, time to do it, time to make a commitment to the direction you are going, time to manifest your seal, your sealing up of yourself to the new direction you've chosen, a self-dedication such that what is bound here on earth is bound in the heavens. Immediacy, no dilly-dallying, it is time. Okay, so we all come to such moments of decisions. We don't know what lies ahead, only that we will not go back. We prefer the unknown based on the direction established in the present moment. We take a peek forward from our own shoulders of experience and know assuredly that what we want and where we are going are out there and not back there. Be wise, begin. Okay, so I feel this is what I'm saying. I feel that there's going to be a lot of people with brand new jobs, or they're going to be people that are going to have way more fire, energy, positivity in what they're doing. Like, they love what they're doing. I love what I'm doing. I do love to podcast. I do love to talk astrology. I can talk astrology all day. And I don't need to be looking at a chart. I could be out and about, traveling somewhere, and I notice a lot of things like numbers, branding and marketing, and colors, and I will say, oh, that's Uranus, that's Saturn, that's, and I that's just normal to me. That's what I do, and it's because I'm so passionate with what I do. And, I just started here at Podbean, but, I do feel it's going to grow and it's going to make an impact, just like it was in Swellcast, where I ended it with 33,000 people listening to the podcast, both English and Spanish. So, I'm very excited for what's coming in and the energy that's coming in as well. And there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be very excited for going back to work, getting new jobs. And I think it's time, that's why it says it's time to do it. It's time to make that commitment to the direction you are going. Time to manifest your seal, manifest the direction where you're going. Okay. So it says, don't let anything stand in your way. Okay, that's the Aquarius 28, which in astrology 28 has to do with ancestors. So I feel the ancestors are telling us, do not let anything stand in your way. Okay, follow your passion and love what you do. And you're good at it, so just continue doing it, right? So that is what's going on there with that square, which was the most important thing. And the most important thing to talk about, which was the square there. And it's getting along very well here with Aries. Okay, we have a couple of asteroids here in the sign of Aries, so it's making an opportunity with silver. Okay, for those that are investing in silver, it's a great time to invest in silver. There's an opportunity there. Um, and it's at 25 degrees of Aries, okay, in the sign of Aries. So it's a double Aries there. So it could be very rapid, okay? Something can rise and elevate with silver very fast, okay? Let me see what else. We got the Midas here, which is the Midas touch, that anything you touch turns to gold. It could be like you're very highly influential. Anything you touch turns to gold. I like this asteroid Midas. It is at 29 degrees of Leo, so it is a testing degree. So we might be tested. Do you really have the Midas touch? Can you really influence? Can you really bring traffic? Can you really? And it's your time to put yourself out there and say, yes, I can. It's in the sign of Aries. Okay. Um, Let me see. I really do like this new moon in Aquarius. The only thing to watch out for is that um there is I don't know why I'm hearing article. Something about an article? Hmm. I don't know. Um we do have to just watch out for the eclipse because the eclipse is faded. It's things that happen that are faded, unexpected. And I had talked about in the Spanish podcast about my cockatoo. Many of you guys know already the story that it passed away on an eclipse early in the wee hours in the morning. And that is one thing that I remember about the eclipse, that my cockatoo died, and it died in its cage. It was a very sad moment, and I do miss my cockatoo, but I think it was time for him to go. He was already kind of sick a little bit. He was shedding a lot with his I guess his wings. They were shedding and so forth. And so I knew he might go. He went through a lot with us. He went through a lot. I mean, he went through fires, and it was just so much. That poor bird. Um, And I felt that he was gonna go. I really did. There was something in me that was like, oh, he's gonna go anytime. And I remember that I prayed for him the day before the eclipse. I don't know why, but I just decided to pray for him. And I prayed to God, and I was looking at the bird, but I was speaking to the bird. It was like if he was listening to me, because he was looking at me with his eyes, like, yeah, I know. And he was receiving my prayer, because he wouldn't let me touch him. He would not let nobody touch him. And I said a prayer to him, and then I went to sleep. And then when I woke up in the morning, he was dead. He was like, he was in the ground. I was like, oh, you know. So it was that prayer that I know he's in heaven. I know he's in with God, and he's looking at us. He's protecting us. And but it was something so sad that happened on an eclipse, and that's why I say eclipses are very important because they're faded, and you know. I think it was his time to go because he was distracting. I'm not gonna lie. He was. I do miss his whistles. I do miss his singing and all of that. He was very chatty, and I felt like I just had somebody to talk to all the time, But he was also very distracting. Like I couldn't concentrate. Like I just couldn't do nothing, And I always had to entertain him and so forth. And I think it was time that he had to go. Um, but I love cockatoo birds, I really do. But it's very important when it comes to the eclipse to just make sure you pray, make sure that you balance yourself and think positive, which is very important. And understand that whatever has to go, has to go. And it's in the second house of money, so it might be something worthy. It might be a job because something that has to do with money. It might be a contract that got canceled. It might be maybe if you're a singer and like you're not going to perform at a concert no more, because second house has to do with the throat as well. It has to do with singing and communication. So it could be something that ends, and something that begins, right? Maybe you might have a better job that's going to pay you more money. Something to do with that, okay? But understand that whatever leaves, it had to go because you have to make money, because it's something that was blocking you, something that was keeping you stagnant, something that wouldn't let go. So I suggest anybody that is trying to retain control, that is trying to control a situation, let it go. Let it go, release it, because if not, this eclipse is going to do it for you. And that's how eclipses work. If you don't release it, then the eclipse will. And when the eclipse does it, you're not going to like it because it's going to come ruthless and it's going to do it for you, right? So this is why, know what needs to go and know what needs to stay. And release control because you're not in control. You know what I mean? The eclipses, it knows what to take out. So other than that square to Uranus, let's see, is getting along very well with Abundancia. Abundancia just entered Taurus. So here the moon with this asteroid of Abundancia, there could be this abundance. So there's this opportunity between this new moon, a new beginning, that is forming an opportunity with Abundancia. Okay, something that can be abundant for you. It could be real estate, it could be restaurants, food, it could be a business, it could be anything like that can be really abundant. Okay, the moon is also making an opportunity with Italia. Okay, there's an asteroid of Italy, or it could be Italians. There's an opportunity there. The moon also is, I mentioned about Midas, the Midas touch. It would be about having this influence, okay? I talked about silver. There's also another opportunity with this asteroid called Moni, okay? Moni is about a lot of money, and just how it sounds, Moni, money. And there's an opportunity to make a lot of money, to bring a lot of money into your life. Also, this one's very important. The moon is making an opportunity with this asteroid called Christian, and that does rule Christianity. Okay, that rules belief in God. And so this is really awesome because especially if you're a Christian and you're a believer of God, there's an opportunity there with this brand new beginning, something brand new. Maybe you might want to get baptized. Maybe you might live in an environment where there's Christians. Maybe you might have this new belief system where you want to go to church or something like that, or just you're feeling grateful. and something like that. Okay. So there's an opportunity there with Christianity, with your beliefs. Um, I think that's about it there. The most important is the Uranus, okay, the square to Uranus. But I really like it. I mean, there's also the moon is making a conjunction to Pallas in Pisces. So Pallas is about strategy, okay? And so when the moon is getting along with Pallas, of looking at Pisces here, what's the strategy, Pisces? What are we doing? And so there could be people looking at Pisces right now of what is the next plan? What are we going to do now with this brand new beginning? And it looks like Pisces has a plan somehow. So it could be, keep listening to the podcast where, I will provide you with solutions or ideas or anything like that that can help the collective. So that is what's going on. I mean, I like this brand new beginning. I really do. But something has to end in order for you to start this brand new beginning. Okay. It's a good time to connect with God, because especially with that opportunity with Christianity, with Christian, and God knows what needs to be released out of your life and what needs to stay. And so it is. I like it. I really do. And I did have to talk about real quick about Jupiter. It's in Cancer, and it is making um, wow, it's making a lot of trines to Pisces. There's this big old cluster in Pisces. Pisces are so blessed right now. I mean, I'm a Pisces, but I'm not saying because I'm a Pisces, but I'm looking at this like, whoa. So what Jupiter is doing, I didn't talk about this in the Spanish podcast, but I'm going to talk about it now because I'm seeing all these arrows. It's like, whoa, all these triangles. Um, so Jupiter is making as this new moon eclipse happens, what Jupiter is doing, the planet of luck and expansion and opportunities and blessings, is making a trine with Mercury in Pisces, with the North Node, with Venus, all in the sign of Pisces, and there is this. And then we have Banks in Pisces. So the Banks in Pisces at 14 degrees of Banks is getting along very well with Jupiter. So Jupiter right now is giving Pisces a lot of luck, a lot of blessings, okay? Especially when you have, and you have Pallas to top it on. What is this other asteroid here? Oh, that one doesn't really matter. It's beer. I mean, unless you're a beer brand, you can elevate your beer by connecting with Jupiter, which has to do with the water, the ocean. Um, but it's getting along with all this cluster here in Pisces. We have Pisces, 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 Pisces. Oh my God, it's like 3, 4, 5. There's like 6 placements in Pisces here, and it's all harmoniously trining Jupiter in Cancer. It's really, really good. And we're not going to see these type of transits where Jupiter, it transits every 12 years. Okay. So after it leaves Cancer, it's not coming back till 12 years. And, where it's making a trine to the North Node. And so that's very rare, because when it makes another transit the next 12 years, we might not have the North Node in Pisces, where it's not making a trine, but it's making a trine right now. Okay. So this is about fated things that happen near the water, near the ocean. Just at 8 degrees, that's where the North Node is. That has to do with mega wealth. So there's a lot of wealth in the water right now. Okay. Especially because it's raining. Have you guys noticed? It is very rare that it rains in Southern California, and it's raining. It's been raining for the past 48 hours. So that those are blessings coming in, and it's in a harmonious trine with Jupiter in the sign of water as well, which is Cancer. So that's something very blessed, very wonderful. And so that's what we got. So I'm just going to cut it short here because I am getting a little bit tired. But I did want to talk about, I do have to say, because I'm looking at the chart right now, and what's standing out to me is the part of fortune in the sign of Capricorn. And it's at 12 degrees, which is 12 degrees is a silent degree. Okay. It could be there's some fortune with Capricorn, something that has to be quiet, something that has to be silent. Um, and it has something to do with business because it's coming together with Follis, which is interesting, right? Something unexpected happening to a Capricorn, or something to do with politics, or business or something like that. But when the part of fortune is there, it just means that, there's a shift that happens to Capricorns. And let me look at where it is. It is, yeah, it's in the 12th house. Something completes maybe for a Capricorn. It's so interesting that Robert Duvall, like he passed away, he was a Capricorn, right? So he probably left fortune, maybe for his family and so forth. He probably made a lot of money because it's in the house of completion. So he just recently passed away. I think, what was it, yesterday or something? Um, and, you know, and it's in the house of completion, which is a 12th house. And, but there's some confrontation that needs to happen if you're a Capricorn, because the motto here is I confront. Okay. So when it comes to the 12th house, it's the 12th house is things that you confront. Okay. The house of self undoing. It represents suffering, sorrow, handicaps, worries, um, self-accepted limitations. Okay. It's also where you seclude yourself, behind the scenes activity. You get involved in secret societies. It's the house that governs our secrets, the occult, um, anything deceptive, and so forth. It's also confinement, jails, hospitals, asylums. So do protect the head, because the 12th house does rule, it rules the feet, but also it rules the subconscious. So when it rules, because the 12th house rules the subconscious, is um, you can't be believing everything, if you're somebody, because if you do, you're going to go crazy. You're going to literally lose it. You can't be listening to everything they're saying. And you just got to focus on the right things and be around the right people. I mean, it is a part of fortune. So there's a shift that's going to happen. Okay. There's a shift that is going to happen. It's a good shift because it's fortune. Okay. And something to do with business, because it's coming together exactly at 12 degrees and Follis. And then we got Juno, which rules marriages in the sign of Capricorn, at 17 degrees of royalty. So that is very interesting there. Okay, something about fame, royalty, with this asteroid of Juno of marriages in the sign of Capricorn. So it doesn't just mean Capricorn. It could just mean wherever you have Capricorn in your life, right? Um, and, because everybody has Capricorn in their chart somehow. For me personally, I have it in Mars in the North Node. And this part of fortune is coming together with my North Node at 13 degrees, only by 1 degree apart. So it's very close there. So there's something that happens, a shift that happens with my North Node, which is fate, has to do with business. It might do with real estate. It might rule my mansion. I don't know. I'm always thinking about my mansion. So anyway, those are some of the things to think about, and just take it easy on this. Whatever happens with this eclipse, understand that it had to go in order to ease your life, in order to simplify your life, in order to make it better. And, it could be anything. It could be you lose a job, or maybe a person just doesn't want to be your friend anymore, doesn't want to be in your life anymore, or, you know, it could be many things. But where it's starting, this new beginning is in the second house of money. Okay. So it could be you landed a new job and you're going to be doing something more different, or you're going to start getting paid more money, you know. You're going to elevate in some kind of way, but it's not going to start till there's a shift, till there's an unexpected, probably a tower moment, okay, with Uranus. And we'll go from there. So I will talk to you guys soon. And just remember to subscribe if you like the podcast, if you like the episode. Subscribe and comment and like it and tell your friends about it, because I am just starting out here at Podbean, and I expect to grow it. And this is my home now. I'm not going anywhere, even though the chart says you could land a new job and so forth. It might be a new opportunity, maybe a brand or something. But right now is too soon, because I just started speaking in English and in Spanish. But I welcome opportunities. I welcome, for you to tell your friends about it so I can grow my numbers and, put more content out there as well. Okay, so I will talk to you guys soon.